What is up, everyone? Today is Tuesday, so that means it's time for another live Q&A. As always, I'm your host, Paul J. Lipsky, here to answer any questions you might have about dropshipping onto different marketplaces like eBay and Facebook Marketplace. So if you've watched any of my other videos and you have questions about what I talked about in those videos, come to one of these live streams. I do them every single Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can come into the live chat just like Julie did right here, and I will do my best to answer those questions for you. Before we get into that, I wanted to remind you that as usual, inside the description of all of my videos, including this one, are a ton of free resources for you. So if you're just getting started with dropshipping, definitely check those out. I have a free guide in there on how to pick the best suppliers for dropshipping, and that includes a list of my top dropshipping suppliers for beginners. I have another guide on the best software to use, and if you download that guide, which is free, there's links in there so you can get free trials of all the software as well. So definitely check out the description. There's a bunch of other goodies in there as well. Check that out, and then I will get into this live chat and start answering some questions. Okay, Julie sent me a question. It kind of looks like it's cut off though. Julie says they just send them in a see-through plastic sandwich bag or the actual product box with the address sticker slapped on it. I'm not sure the context of this or what your question is. It's possible these are kind of out of order. You said my customers wouldn't be, okay. Okay, here's the start of the question. Okay, so this is Julie's question. Let me just summarize it because I've experienced this as well, so I know exactly what Julie is talking about. This just happened to me yesterday for something I bought myself. So increasingly, what we're seeing is that Amazon is not putting certain items into boxes when they ship them to customers. So like yesterday, for instance, I ordered a brace for my elbow because I have a little bit of pain in here. So I got this brace and it came in like this plastic bag basically that was created by the manufacturer. So same thing if you were to buy this at a local store like in Target, you would just see this like plastic bag on the shelf, like a nice one, like a product bag with this brace inside. Instead of taking that baggie and putting it inside of a box, an Amazon box, and shipping it to me, Amazon just slapped a label on that bag instead and shipped that to me. So they did absolutely no sort of packaging of this product themselves, besides putting a label on it. Julie's worried that customers are going to get upset by this. I actually think this is a really good thing. This is a very good thing for drop shippers because when the customer gets that, they're not going to see an Amazon box, right? Now, let's back up a second because I've been drop shipping on eBay. I started 6 years ago, or more than 6 years ago, and I've drop shipped a lot of products from Amazon. The percentage of customers who have complained about it is minuscule, very, very small, even though for all those years, Amazon has been shipping in Amazon boxes. Customers just don't seem to care or complain about it. Very, very few actually do. And we're usually able to alleviate that just by sending them a quick message explaining that we do we sell in different marketplaces, we do cross-channel selling, and that usually alleviates the situation for the customer. Now we don't even have to worry about that because now they won't even see an Amazon package. Yes, the label still might say Amazon on it. I have to check what it says on it, but I'm pretty sure it does say Amazon on it, but it's just one less thing for them to notice. So, Julie, I don't think this is something you should be worried about. I actually think this is a good thing and is actually going to lead to even fewer customers complaining about it. Lorenzo says, good evening, Paul. Good afternoon, Lorenzo. Afternoon where I am. I hope you had a great weekend. Here is an Apple teacher, the master of the Q&A. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hope your week is going well. Lorenzo, I sent you an email back. You haven't responded to it. So take a look at that. Take a look at that email that I sent you. Okay. Kared says, since you've been dropshipping on this marketplace, Can you speak of some challenges you came across at the beginning and what now? Or is it smooth sailing for you now regarding Facebook quirks and glitches? All right, so you're talking about Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, so you kind of want to hear about the journey of Facebook Marketplace and how it started and how it's going now. So yeah, it's an interesting question. So when I first started dropshipping on Facebook Marketplace, I actually documented that entire first week on Facebook Marketplace. So you can go back and find that video. It's one of my more popular videos. Even if you just search on YouTube for I tried Facebook Marketplace dropshipping, it should come right up. Now, in that video, one of the things I explain is that when I'm doing it back then, there really wasn't any software. Everything was really being done manually. So that was kind of the biggest hurdle for us to get over in the beginning, because software is really important. It does help us automate a lot, saves us a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of headache. So that was the biggest hurdle in the beginning. As time went on though, software was developed for it. AutoDS adapted and made their software work with it. We found a way to make it work. So we're in the clear now with that. Everything's kind of good with that. So that saved us a lot. Now, kind of the hiccup right now is that we were using Facebook Shops to do Marketplace, and Facebook just announced that in about a couple of weeks now, they are going to shut down Shops in terms of letting us use Shops to sell in Marketplace. So that's kind of a challenge right now because that was one of our selling channels, but now we just have to adapt and sell directly on Facebook Marketplace more, which is what we were doing anyway. So it's not really a huge deal. So that was kind of the biggest hiccup recently. But again, I don't really see it as a huge deal because we are already selling on Facebook Marketplace directly, and Shops was just kind of like this added bonus. So it's not really like a huge problem. Facebook in the beginning, it was kind of plagued with a lot of these like glitches that were going on. A lot of those have been smoothed out. We don't see as many of those sort of glitches anymore, but it's just kind of a different platform to sell on. It almost seems like it's kind of taken a backseat for Facebook, where they almost kind of like forgot about it. Like they don't put a lot of development into it, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it's just kind of very simple and just works. Sometimes simple is better, especially if you're a beginner looking to start your first online business. Facebook's a great place because, there's not a lot to it. It's not as complicated as like eBay. And when I say complicated, I just mean when you log into the dashboard on eBay, there's a lot you can do. There's not as much that you can do on Facebook Marketplace. So for that reason, it's really kind of like beginner friendly. Okay, Dale says, if your aim is to dropship only as a side hustle, is it relatively easy to make as little as $100 in profit a week? Yeah, so Dale, I can't promise any sort of results when it comes to drop shipping. But what I can say is that I've had a lot of students who have reached that goal of making $100 profit per week and have exceeded it just as a side hustle. But Dale has another question, says, I'm nervous about overnight sales, especially living in Eastern time zone and waking up to discover a popular item is out of stock. Does this happen to you? Good time to have AutoDS fulfill automatically. Great question. So, yeah, orders will come in to your store overnight while you're sleeping, no matter what time zone that you're in. The thing you have to realize, though, is that you, as soon as you wake up, can place those orders, maybe wake up a little bit earlier than normal, or you can have virtual assistants who are pretty much about 12-hour difference from you. So they could be placing orders in the middle of the night, your time. So that is one way to alleviate that issue, or just have AutoDS automatically fulfill your orders for you. Now, what I'll say though, is that when I was first starting out, I didn't have automatic fulfillment. I didn't have virtual assistants. And what I did was every single night, I would place all my orders. Then I would wake up in the morning, and if there were any orders that came in overnight, I would place them before I went to work. Then I'd go to work, get back at the end of the day, and place the orders again. So twice a day. That's not twice the work because, again, you're splitting up the orders depending on when they come in. It's just splitting up when you do it. That way you place the orders more frequently. And it was never really a huge issue. Without looking at your account, Robert, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to tell why you're not selling products. It could be you're pricing your items too high, you have your settings wrong. It could be that you're not finding the right products. There could be a setting on your store that's off. Without looking at it, just to be honest, there's no way for me to be able to tell. Usually what most people get wrong is they're not doing product research correctly. They're not optimizing their listings, meaning the title, the item, item's photo, and even the category, or there's a pricing problem. And then the fourth thing I would say actually is something's off with their store. Maybe like a setting is off. Michaela says, happy holidays. Happy holidays to you as well, Michaela. Thank you. Would you recommend a high-ticket dropshipping niche eBay store, like a home decor or furniture store? That's a great question. Let me break that down. So let me answer the second part of your question first, because it's a little bit easier to answer, more straightforward, shorter answer, I should say. A niche store. Should you do a niche store? You should never sell in a niche when you're selling on a marketplace like eBay or Facebook Marketplace or Amazon. Never just sell one niche. And that's because it is a marketplace. You can sell anything and everything, and you should, because that is how you're going to do the best in marketplaces. If you're just selling, let's say, coffee tables, right? That really limits the items, the number of items, and the types of items that you can sell. Why would you do that when you can easily sell all and every items? Sure, not all of them are going to do well, but not all of them are going to do well if you're selling coffee tables either. So it's just kind of a no-brainer just to sell everything and anything. Niche stores only work when you have your own website. Because when you have your own website, you can make your website like bestcoffeetables.com, right? Then anyone going there is going to be saying, hey, I'm looking specifically for coffee tables. I'm searching on Google for coffee tables. Either you show up at the top, or now Google's retargeting them with ads that are your ads for your bestcoffeetables.com website. That's why you need to have a niche when you're selling on your own store. But on a marketplace, that's not the way it works. People come on, they search for a coffee table, they'll buy based on what they see in the results, and then they're going to go search for something else, maybe like a side table, and then they're going to search for a bike helmet, right? You can sell all those. You can show up for all those results. You don't have to niche down like that. And the first part of your question is, would you recommend high ticket drop shipping? So you shouldn't be selling high ticket as a beginner drop shipper. You should really be sticking to cheaper items. Cheaper items are going to move faster. You're going to sell more of them. That is going to please the marketplace, who's then going to increase your limits and give you trust as well. In the beginning, you're kind of like in an unofficial trial period with the marketplace, meaning that if you do something wrong, or if you do something wrong, they may cut you off. They may close down your account. So you just kind of want to stay above board as much as possible, and you want to prove to them that you are a good seller. And the best way to do that is to actually sell products, and the best way to do that is with cheaper products. So you should really be concentrating on cheaper products as a beginner dropshipper. Down the line, you can increase the price. But honestly, I don't sell anything that's over about $300, $200 or $300, because it's risky, right? If there's a chargeback, if there's an item not received case, that could be your profit for the day. So you don't want that to happen to you. So that's why for most people, I wouldn't recommend selling high ticket items, especially not in the beginning. But you get to the $100, $150, close to $200 range. Once your store grows to the point where you can sustain that, meaning that you can have those items in your store and they're actually selling on a regular basis, that's a good place to be in. That, for me, is the ideal place to be in, because then you're going to be selling less items, but making the same or more profit than if you were selling like 10 of a cheaper item. So it's a better place to be in, but it's going to take you time to get there. Lorenzo, I just provided some updates to the Facebook course, but I will make sure that anything like that will be updated. Everything's going to go through a major uphaul beginning of next year, both my courses. Yeah, oh my gosh, Dale, I love this quote. I've never heard this before, but I've heard something similar. Spot on, man. Dale says that he heard Mark Cuban on Shark Tank say, perfection is the enemy of profitability. And I wonder if that's why many dropshippers never really begin their business. Perfection doesn't happen right away. Dude, you nailed it. I mean, this is something I've been saying for a long time, although not as eloquently as Mr. Cuban has. It's just so true. So many of us, myself included, I'm very guilty of this. I want things to be perfect. But as I learned years ago when I first started doing this, done is better than perfect. So if you're agonizing over, okay, I want to start eBay dropshipping, but what is the exact process? How do I find the items? And then how do I list the items? But what if this happens? And then what if this happens? And I need a solution in case this happens. And I need a solution in case this happens. And people get so bogged down in all these what ifs and they want the perfect plan that they never even get started on it. And so they'll never be successful. And that's literally why I created my course, was because that is the plan to follow. But you have to have kind of trust and faith in it and actually do it. Because even as you're starting it, I'm not going to give you right away like all the what ifs, because you don't need them in the beginning. You just need to get started. If you run into those problems, I address those in my program, in my course. You will get the answers to how to solve those if you run into them, but don't worry about them unless you actually run into them. Yes, there's like a handful of things I would say that you should be proactive about avoiding. So I do, like in my course, tell you about those up front so you can like avoid those proactively. But after that, everything else, you just don't get bogged down in the what ifs. You just get started with it. Otherwise, you're never, ever going to get started and you're never going to make any money from this. So I love that. Perfection is the enemy of profitability. It's very similar to that quote, done is better than perfect. Just to kind of give you an example of this, when I first started, I just wanted every freaking thing to be perfect with my eBay store. And that was holding me back because I was spending so much time on things like making sure every listing was perfect, making sure that every single tracking number was uploaded on time, which you should still do. But, every customer complaint, I wanted them to be perfectly content after I was done dealing with them. All these little things everything had to be perfect. And that was unsustainable because I wasn't able to grow from that. Because one of the reasons is because I didn't trust a virtual assistant to be able to do the tasks for me because I was afraid they wouldn't hit my level of perfection. Once I let go of that and actually had them do it, which was kind of forced on me because I actually got really sick, I had a virtual assistant working for me doing a little bit. But what happened one day was I got sick and I could not do any work. I could not stay awake. I could not stay focused. So I just messaged my virtual assistant and said, hey, I'm sick. I can't even spend time training you how to do this, but you need to just fulfill these orders for me. And I went to sleep and I woke up in the morning and it was done. And that moment onward was like an aha moment because I suddenly realized, hey, they can do this for me. I don't ever have to place orders ever again because my virtual assistant can. And it just kind of took that moment for me to realize that and to me to actually trust it because I had no choice. I don't want you to be in the same position. I want you to trust the process before you kind of like hit rock bottom there and get burnt out and sick. So it doesn't happen to you the same way it happened to me. Artist says, is it possible to create a new Amazon account over and over and over again for free Prime and use them only for a week before Amazon bans them? To be honest, I'm not sure, but I do know when you're signing up for an Amazon account, you need a phone number to do it. So unless you have access to like an unlimited number of phone numbers, that might be hard to do. So yeah, and then if you have returns, it might be hard to log into those accounts, to know which account to log into, and then to actually log into it if it's no longer there. Hey, what's up, Mike? Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. All right. Yeah, this is one of the things I'll address. I screenshotted that to make sure, your comment, to make sure I address that when I update it. But you should be able to follow along. Thumbs up. Appreciate you, Julie. So for this, then you have to go in and actually update it on AutoDS. I don't use AutoDS the way like kind of it's intended for Facebook Marketplace. I only use it for alerts. So I don't actually have to update anything on AutoDS, because whether I change anything on Facebook or not doesn't matter. It's not going to change anything on AutoDS. AutoDS will send me those alerts for those items until I remove them from AutoDS. What software do you use to list items? So for eBay, I use AutoDS. For eBay, we connect AutoDS to our eBay accounts using their API system, and that allows me to put items into AutoDS, which then get automatically listed into our eBay store. For Facebook Marketplace, I first add the items into Facebook Marketplace. That will allow, I add the items into AutoDS, which allows AutoDS to track those items. And then I use the Dropshipping Titans Marketplace helper, which will then grab the details from AutoDS and list it into Facebook Marketplace. So that's a two-step process, but that's necessary because Facebook Marketplace doesn't have an API like eBay does. So it is necessary to do that extra step. Hi, Amazon, I started so are you drop shipping on Amazon? Is that what you're saying? Sam's Club good for drop shipping. They don't like when you ship to too many addresses per month. So you're going to run into that issue with them where they're not going to let you drop ship to more than, I think, like 5 addresses per month. Okay, this I don't know, to be honest. You mean like you should, if you're trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace, Lorenzo, you should be using your existing Facebook account. You don't want to set up a brand new Facebook account for doing drop shipping because you likely will not have the shipping option on that new account. An older account probably will, so you should just go ahead and use that one. It also saves you the trouble of having to set up a new Facebook account. Artist says, what is your opinion on promoted listings? Sure, promotion gets you way more clicks, but your prices won't be competitive, and you suggest promotion. What percentage should I use? Yeah, you should use promoted listings. You can still be competitive with your prices on promoted listings. There's no reason for that it wouldn't be that way. And also, with the method I teach my students, we are oftentimes selling products that no one else is selling. Or has very low competition. So you don't have to worry about that so much, what you're worried about, the competition. And for your last question, if you suggest promoted, what percentage should I use? So run a promoted listing campaign and run it for every single product in your store. Set the percentage at 1%. Do that for a week and see how it affects your sales. Then increase it to 2%, see what it does for a week, and then increase it to 3% and see what it does. See which one yields you the most profit. Okay? Whether that's no campaign, 1, 2, or 3. Most people see that if they do that experiment, they'll see that a 2% campaign yields them the most profit in the end. Some people, though, for whatever reason, find that promoted listings actually hurt their store and they go back to not using it. And some people can go as high as 3% and to see it actually helps them, continues to help them. So that's kind of the way to do it. Most people, again, are going to be at 2%. So if you just kind of want to set it and forget it, that's a good place to go. I've done over $1 million with my dropshipping stores. Yeah, that's what you mean. What do I think about AutoDS for dropshipping? Yeah, it's great. That's the tool that I use for eBay and Facebook Marketplace. It's the number one dropshipping tool I recommend for dropshipping. I said dropshipping too many times to confuse my head. Yeah, that's the number one tool I recommend for dropshipping. Where are you talking about? You're talking about the blue check mark? All right, great question, Nathan. So Nathan says, how do you calculate the taxes when you're shipping items to customers? Because it's going to change based on the shipping address. You are absolutely correct, of course, Nathan. When you're selling products, sometimes you'll ship to customers in New Hampshire where there's no state sales tax. Sometimes you'll ship to customers in New York or California where there's a really high state sales tax. So when you're listing the item onto eBay, you want to account for sales tax. So how do you do that when sales tax varies so much by state? Well, it's pretty easy. The optimal thing for you to do is get tax exempt in all states so that you never have to pay sales tax no matter where you're shipping to. That is the optimal way to do it. It takes a little bit of work. It's very much worth it though. Now, assuming that you're not there yet or you don't want to, then you want to do like an average. So I say about 6 or 7%. So when I'm setting up my AutoDS account or when you're setting up your AutoDS account, inside the settings, it's going to ask you for each supplier by how much you want to mark up the price of your items. In there, you want to cover things like your eBay fee. You want to cover things like if the supplier charges shipping. And you also want to charge for sales tax as well. You want to include that as well. That's where you would put in that 6 or 7% extra to cover the sales tax. Mike says, nice haircut. Everyone give it a thumbs up. Or everyone give a thumbs up. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Got my haircut yesterday. I was growing it out for a while. All right. Mike says, I recently returned to Facebook Marketplace. I'm not getting any clicks. Is this normal now? 2 years ago was very different. It could just be a numbers game. It could be a matter of you just kind of getting your account back up and the steam rolling again. That would be my guess, but it does depend on the number of items you have in your store. It may not. Just go for 2%. That's always kind of what I do anyway. Atlas says, what's a good time to switch from a personal eBay to seller account on eBay, and what's the difference? You should do it as soon as possible, but with the seller account on eBay, you get access to a bunch more tools. You get access to seller dashboard. Ideally, that's what you want, but for some reason, eBay sometimes makes it difficult for people to switch over. I wouldn't stress out about it if you can't, but ideally, do it. Switch over. All right. So I got through all the questions, great questions this week, and we are at the 30-minute mark. So I got to get going because we have some family coming into town for the holidays, so I got to get things ready with that. But everyone, if you're here in America and you celebrate, make sure to have a really fantastic Thanksgiving. And Black Friday. This is the week, everyone. This is the week when, if you're selling products, you're really going to see them take off at the end of this week. So be ready for it. Be on top of it. Make sure your systems are in place. This is a time of year when you can make a lot of money. So good luck, everyone. Have fun with it. It can be really, really exciting. Otherwise, I will see you next week, right after Cyber Monday is over. So hopefully I've gotten enough sleep by then. But everyone, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.